On today's episode of the Real Recovery Podcast, episode number 112, we welcome Paul O., a guy who once talked himself into getting sober one Burgundy sock at a time, and 13 years later used a checklist to convince himself he wasn't an alcoholic after all. Wait until you hear both of those stories and where he is today. This is episode 112, and it starts right now.
Hello, and welcome to the Real Recovery Podcast. I'm Julie, your co-host. On this journey of healing and transformation, together with my co-host Peter, we dive into the heart of recovery, sharing stories that resonate with courage and inspiration.
That's right, Julie. Each episode is a new chapter in this vast narrative of recovery, and we're honored to bring them to you. But keep in mind, the perspectives you'll hear are for informational purposes only and may not reflect the views of the podcast or our partners.
Indeed, while these conversations can be a powerful part of your recovery toolkit, they are not substitute for professional medical advice. We encourage you to seek guidance from your healthcare provider for any treatment-related decisions.
And if you're facing an immediate crisis, or if you just need to talk to someone who understands, don't hesitate to call the Recovery Crisis Line at 503-223-8569. That number is also on our website. Help is available 24/7.
Now let's begin our episode
Of recovery, real recovery.
Hi, this is Julie from the Real Recovery Podcast. It's Friday night, and I'm here with
Peter. It's me, guys. Welcome. Thanks for joining us. And we have a wonderful guest tonight, but it might be the morning or the day or the afternoon when you're listening to this.
all the way
Please-
from Missouri.
Yeah, please welcome Paul. Welcome, Paul.
Thank you, Peter and Julie. I'm happy to be here. It's an honor to be here. Thanks for inviting me.
It's wonderful to have you on. And I don't know you other than what Julie has told me about you. So I'm anxious to
All
hear
good
all
stuff,
about your
Paul.
story. Oh, yeah, all good stuff. Here, there's something about socks, but I'm not going to spoil it.
And I'm really excited because you're only our third Zoom meeting. And the fact that we can do this with you now, I would have had you on sooner, but you're in Missouri, right?
There is
And
that, yeah.
when you're in Portland, it seems like it's for an hour here or there. And yeah, so I'm really excited that you can be in your home. We can be in our home, that I don't have to be in Peter's office tonight. I was in Peter's office last night. One, I looked hideous on Peter's camera. It
You
gave
did
like
look
the
hideous.
full view. And I had to wear a different headset than I usually wear at Peter's house. And I had to sit in a different chair. And you would have thought, oh my God, the world was ending. But it was an amazing podcast.
You have to
our
get used
friend.
to it because someday in the near future, when we get funding, we're going to do video. So gotta
Yeah.
be used to seeing
And
you.
I'll be showering and doing my hair before then. But I keep doing these podcasts coming straight from work. And there are days that I work at home. And let me tell you about those outfits, Paul. Peter sees them all. Okay? I'm
like
just saying.
pajamas or I don't
Yeah,
know, workout
I'll come over
clothes.
there in my nightshirt. It's crazy. But yeah, if we go to video, all of a sudden
Yeah,
I'll be
we're all going to have to
transformed.
step it up a little bit.
Yeah, wear pants, all that.
I know. What the heck? Wear pants.
Oh my God, don't threaten me. But anyway. So, Paul, you've been in AA for a while.
I have. I showed up on the doorstep of AA on October 7th, 1991 in Reno, Nevada. I had come to
Sin
my bottom
City, huh?
as a lot of people did. I had been trying to stop. I had a whole list of addictions that were ganging up to, I don't think they were trying to kill me, but I was going to die as a result of being in their power. And alcohol was one of them, and compulsive sex, and overeating, and gambling, casino gambling. So I had all of those things that just took over, and then I thought, oh, I should stop. I should definitely stop. This is not good. And then I couldn't stop. And for quite a while, and then I thought there's really only one solution, and I found myself, and at the end of the night, no more money, and the sun. I don't know if the sun was coming up yet, but I'm just gonna throw myself off of a bridge that was probably not high enough to kill me, but that was the idea.
Oh, wow.
And I did a quick inventory of the people in my life. I had managed to. Nobody knew what was going on. Nobody. But because it was just all on my own in secret, and I did a little quick inventory, and said, that's fine. They don't care. They'll be better off, blah, blah, blah. And I got to my mom, and who was alive at the time. And I thought, oh, she has only done, the only thing she's ever done is love me powerfully and unconditionally. And as much pain as I was in, I knew that it would cause her the most unimaginable pain to find out,
Yeah.
And in that instant, that solution was removed. And the next instant, a voice in my head or God or whatever you want to think of whispered, perhaps you could get some help. And showed up. I called a friend, a close friend, and told him what was going on. He said, maybe you should go to an AA meeting or some kind of meeting and get some support. So I went, it was essentially later that day, that evening, to a lesbian stag meeting because
Wow.
The opposite of me, Paul.
I was convinced that what I really needed was friends, and that was for sure. I needed people in my life. And they had a gay fellowship there in Reno in the early 90s. But that particular night, it was a lesbian stag meeting. And I showed up anyway, and they took a quick group conscience and said, well, you absolutely can be here at the meeting as long as we can call you Pauline.
Oh
And
my
that
gosh.
was, I don't remember my reaction. I was pretty beat up emotionally, spiritually at the time, but they let me stay. And I don't remember much. I remember the chairperson reminded me of, I remember the WACs from World War II, the female military folks. I swear she had to have been a WAC in World War II. And that's all I remember. I don't remember.
Definite dyke.
Yeah. And then they let me share, and all I could do was just cry and weep. And then at the end of the meeting, they did the last little prayer, and this teeny, tough Brooklyn lesbian came up to me, and she just wrapped her arms around me and just held me really tight. And then she looked up and she said, "You keep coming back." And her name is Kathy, and as far as I know, she's still sober. Matter of fact, I'm certain she's still sober. And she had 5 years at the time, so she probably has 40 years sober at this point. And I did. I kept coming back. And that was the start of my sobriety journey.
Wow, that sounds awesome. I had a similar thing when I first went into the rooms in East County here, where a gal that I would describe her, and she's okay with it. She was crazy, and she had this beat up car, and she approached me after the meeting, and she's like, "Why don't you come to lunch with us? I'll drive." And I'm looking at the car, and I'm looking at her, and I'm like, "Really?" But it was that kindness, that
Was it
openness and
Donna?
kindness. Yeah, it was Donna.
I knew it. When you said a little crazy, she's so outgoing that
She
if you
is.
don't
She's
know her,
so
it's like,
much fun.
whoa. Yeah.
And sometimes that's all it takes is that reach,
One person. Yeah.
Yeah,
that
yeah, that made that. I
outreach.
even wrote a song that includes her in one of the verses of the song, and it basically outlines that scenario of somebody showing up at a meeting and being quite uncertain and raw, and having this, I call her an angel in the song, come up and do what angels do, just
Ashen.
make that,
So I know
provide
your
that
story
opportunity for that turning point.
Yeah. How
of
cool is that?
So what happened next, you ask?
We're waiting with bated breath.
no, I have a question. So when you went to this lesbian A meeting, because that's how it was for me, right? I went to a men's gay meeting, and the coolest thing, they didn't want to sleep with me, and the lesbians didn't want to sleep with you. So I think it takes all that pressure off, right? A different kind of pressure. I think Peter, same with you. Going to a straight meeting, you don't want to sleep with any of those guys. I think sometimes the opposite helps. You know what I'm saying? In a weird way.
Yeah.
But Paul, I remember, and I don't know if this is before you stopped, right? Or right up until that moment, the story of getting robbed. At work?
Oh, that was later. It was late, pretty well into sobriety, about 10 years.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah. Can we come back to that chronologically?
Yeah,
Yeah,
let's not jump ahead.
absolutely. I was actually trying to figure out, did you go to AA before that or after in my
That I
brain?
was in deep in the middle at that point, in deep in
Okay,
my first round of sobriety.
got
But
it. I
one
don't
thing
want
you
to
brought
jump
up
ahead.
about the not being distracted by potential paramours, that so I also thought when I first came into the program that really what I really needed was a boyfriend. And I thought that would absolutely solve all my problems. But I also had to pay back all the money that I had stolen to feed my addictions. And I got two jobs. And for a while, I couldn't go to any of the gay meetings. But I was lucky enough that I had, not only was there literally an AA club literally 50 feet from where I lived, I never once went to a meeting there because it was a really old timers and they all smoked, and I was told no bother. But 2 blocks further down the road, there was a group there, and they met every morning at 6:30. They were called Beginners Are Winners. And I was able to go to that meeting every single day because neither of my jobs ever started that early in the day. And that's definitely where I got my foundation in the program.
Mm.
There was two people in particular I remember. There was one guy, I called him Guru Paul because, oh, I never said it out loud. It has the word RuPaul in it. But anyway, he had 10 years sober, and I wanted what he had. I wanted to feel like he talked about feeling. And then, but he was a little too lofty for probably where I was. And then there was this other guy called Golf. I called him Golfer Steve because he loved golf. And he basically started sponsoring me without me asking. He would come up to me at the end of pretty much every meeting and give me something to do. And probably the most influential thing he did was he gave me this little brochure called Just for Today. And it's got a list of things that it recommends you do just for today. And this is going to lead into the sock story.
Oh, one.
So I was newly sober and I was still had all my old behaviors. So my poor little apartment was just an absolute disaster. And I was so depressed. And I remember coming back from a meeting. Every article of clothing I had was now unwearable, was just dirty and needed to be washed. And I looked at my apartment and I looked at all the clothes on the floor and everywhere. And I thought, I can't do it. I cannot do it. And a little voice in my head said, oh man, I see you there and you are so sad. And the voice just gently just said, why don't you just pick up the clothes? Do you think you just pick them up and put them in the basket? And I basically said back to the voice crying, no, that's too much. It's too much. And the voice, we just had this conversation, said, okay, all right, well, how about just the socks? Why don't you just go around and pick up the socks? That's not too much, is it? Yeah, it's still too much. And this voice was just gentle. And so I had bought about 10 pairs of these burgundy socks at Sears where I had worked before, and for 45 cents a pair. So I had all these burgundy socks. So the voice said, how about just the burgundy socks? No, it's still too much. I can't do it. And then finally the voice said, could you pick up one burgundy sock? And I thought, yeah. Found the closest one. I picked it up and put it in the basket. And the voice said, how did that go? It was okay. Oh, good job. Do you think you could do another one? I'll try. And within 10 minutes, all the burgundy socks were in the basket. All the socks, all the clothes were in the basket. I had this basket on my shoulder, out the door, whistling a tune on my way to the laundromat. And that's what I learned was that sometimes when the task feels so overwhelming that you just got to keep breaking it down to whatever you actually can do. And I found, even as depressed as I was, that I could get started. And then once I got started, it was almost effortless. Yeah, so that's the Burgundy Sock Story.
I love it. I learned not from Burgundy Socks, but I learned that as well, like breaking everything down because I would get so overwhelmed. And I don't know where I learned it from exactly, but it's something that I practice even today. And I teach, like I have a side business and I work with clients and help them with their websites. And I do this because they're just looking at this site. I don't know where to begin. I like break it down. So
Yeah.
that's a great, and same with going into recovery. We say 1 day at a time, 1 minute at a time. Sometimes you break it down to that small, it could be minutes. And but that's all, because then they add up. Another minute, before you know it, you've got a day, and then so on and so forth. So I love that. I love that story.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I want
There
to,
was another one out that's related. I'm going to share real quick. And
please.
this was well into sobriety as well. And I still was really suffering with depression, still debilitating depression and suicidal ideation. And I realized that a voice in my head was just telling me all day long what would fix this. And I remember right where I was walking up there near Mount Tabor, and I thought, just cannot go on like this. So I stopped and asked God. I said, this God that I definitely do not understand, but do trust and believe cares for me. I said, oh, okay, God, I know I've been trying to deal with this on my own, but if you could get that voice to stop making that suggestion, I would be so grateful. And the voice shut up for 15 seconds. And then it came back. And I said, thank you, God. Thank you for those 15 seconds. You did such a great job. Should we try again and see if you could do it again? And another little longer period of time. And so it just kept asking. And within 30 minutes, it, it stopped. And stopped for days. And now, thanks to some therapy as well, some really well targeted therapy, it's just gone. It's not there
Yeah.
anymore. And depression, I don't
My
struggle with
screen
depression.
keeps freezing with your pictures. I wanted to say this to you. The sock story, it might be simple to some people. I carry this with me all the frickin' time. I use it all the time. Every time I get overwhelmed, I'm like, just do one fucking thing. And we can say fucking, Paul. Not that you say
I
that,
can't really
but
say it convincingly, so I probably
I
won't
know.
try.
Well, I can because of my truck
Yeah.
driver mouth, but I use this in life like all the I think for a newcomer, one meeting at a time. Just one meeting at a time. I use it on big things and I use it on little things and I use it like it's crazy. I hate mopping and sweeping the floors and vacuuming the floors. It just seems like a big task because I have wood floors, then I have rugs, then I have fucking carpet. And if it just overwhelming, so I will literally be like, vacuum this one rug, vacuum this other rug. And I will go sit down and maybe watch 15 minutes of TV and maybe move on the commercials sometimes. And in a couple hours, all the rugs are done. The floor is swept in sections. Then I get out the mop and then I do it and then but I have to tell you I use this a lot. Like I really the sock method. I don't know. It might end up being in a
Trademark it.
text. I honestly think so and maybe we need t-shirts that say one sock at a time. We do recovery, but I just want you to know that like you never know what you're going to say that really impacts somebody.
Yeah.
But that is something I fucking use all the time. My new one too. Me and Peter heard two good ones last night and they're worth repeating. Rejection is redirection. When you get rejected, you get redirected. And I've been hanging on to that one. And then the funny one. These three things that I suffer from rumination. I'll get something in my head and it'll fucking piss me off or I worry about it constantly. And I know it now, which is great. I know how to stop it now, but it still happens.
Yeah.
And I say that rumination is like constipation and you get stuck when you get stuck on the same idea. But these little things help me. They help my brain. Kind of like what you're saying about the God thing and just asking them for a few minutes. I wish we have friends, Paul, you and I, that are no longer here. If they could have just asked. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
I have so much empathy for people who think about ending their life and even for the people who make that decision and carry it out. And I had a sponsee who made that decision. And yeah, and it was,
yeah.
I had a pretty even mixture of compassion and I wasn't mad. I got it. But I wish that they had been able to be honest with me about what they were thinking. But
Or
I think,
reached out.
yeah,
Or reached out. I think it's selfish, you know what I'm saying, for the people that are left. And for me it was the very first sponsee. We had met one time at a women's meeting and Jen was there, Jen L. And we had passed around a book because she was the newest. So we passed around a book and everybody signed it and gave it to her. And we passed around a book and gave it to the person with the most tenure. So the newest and the most. And it was literally the only time I met with her.
mm,
And the next week she was gone, and I was, oh, I'm not doing this again.
mm,
Yeah, it was really, it was a lot at 1st.
yeah,
Yeah, it really was. And I know somebody recently who was going to do that as well. And they said they listened to the podcast and it gave them hope. And I was like literally overwhelmed. Yeah,
yeah. It's
yeah.
people I'm thinking about. So it took me a while to get connected to the meetings here in Springfield, transportation. And then I went to one meeting and nope, I feel like they didn't know how special I was and blah, 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 all that stuff. And so I stopped going for maybe about a year. And then I realized, and well, gratefully, that got me hooked up with the Zoom meetings from Portland, get to be with all my old pals. But I went back because I knew I needed to be with people. And I was feeling a little bit invisible, a little bit not embraced, a new guy, blah, blah, blah. And this young fellow named Josh came up to me after the meeting and just started talking to me. He's a year and a half sober and really earnestly working the program. And he just basically, with his kindness, said, I see you. I want to be a person that you're connected to here in this meeting. And then he turned me
Wow.
on to this secret meeting that is a secret 12. It's not in any of the things. It's the greatest meeting. And it's a 12 and 12 study every Sunday. So
I love that. The secret meeting.
yeah, it's really a fun meeting.
I don't know, Paul, you just might have told 30,000 people. I don't
Oh
know
no,
if
they're
it's
not
a
gonna,
secret.
no,
That where the secret meeting
they'll
is.
never find it.
I
Even though
love that.
they would be welcome, because apparently now I just invited them.
Yeah. So if you're in Missouri, try to find the secret meeting,
It's like
okay?
a treasure hunt.
Yeah. I
That'll get
love
people
it.
to attend a lot of meetings.
There you go.
Looking for the
That's
secret
right.
Yes.
meeting. There's the secret. It's the secret meeting, right?
I'll keep
Yeah.
dropping erroneous hints.
I
It's
love
funny because
that.
that really falls in line with something we've talked about on the show a lot. Don't give up if you go to your first or second or third or however many meetings and you're not comfortable or you don't connect, and don't give up. Keep going to different meetings because there's one you'll find. It's my story too. Was having a hard time at the meeting that I was at, not feeling comfortable and being able to be open because it was a more conservative meeting. But finding the lunch bunch, it just, my whole world opened up and I feel comfortable. I feel I can be myself and I feel, well, I've made friends and they're now more than just a meeting I go to. They're part of my fellowship in my life.
Yeah.
So don't give up, folks. Keep
Yeah.
trying. Yeah.
And the other thing, the one of the principles that I'm able to put into place If it's just acceptance, if I go and they're doing things differently, I could just say, this is how it's done here. And if I want to change it, I can come to the business meeting and propose a change if I really want to
The
change it.
business meeting.
Yeah.
Ooh.
I
But
remember back in the day, I traveled around and I was with a friend traveling. We went to from I was living in Seattle at that point. So from Seattle, we went to Syracuse, New York, and then into Pennsylvania. And we went out just to go out to the clubs. And it was so different. People were not friend. They were very standoffish and cliquish. But it was just, that's how they are in that area. It was just the way it was. I didn't, at first I was like, what's wrong with me? Why are people not talking to me? Why do I feel like such an outsider? So in the meetings, maybe it's the same type of thing, different meetings in different places. And Julie, you went to what, every state? I'm sure there was some discrepancies between the meetings.
Dude, that was probably one of the scariest things for me. During COVID, Izzy said he was tired of our meeting. And during COVID, extended family was different. I don't know how to explain it, but it was a little different than it is now. But he said, let's go to a meeting in every state. And we started off in Alabama, and holy shit. It was a very religious meeting. They read everything different than we did. I was like, what the fuck? You're doing the meeting wrong. And then the lady in the instruction says, don't be moving around. Don't be a distraction. So I'm like this. Like I got my hand, left knee, right hand, right knee. And here's Izzy. And he's wearing a rainbow GTD hat. And I'm like, this flame. And sure enough, they called on him right away. And he just does Izzy. And they were like, whoa, but they loved him.
yeah.
And yeah, and at the end of the meeting, after I'm calling on my friend Julie, and I was like, oh no. And then they read something different at the end, and then we prayed. But they were, I hope you guys come back again. We really need you in our meeting. And then, so we got this, and there was a lot of sobriety in this meeting. A
Yeah.
lot. Probably out of all the meetings we went to, this meeting had the most sobriety. Then we go to Alaska, Alabama to Alaska.
Yeah.
And Alaska was, if you had 5 years, it was like 5 decades. And there was more people ever than any other meeting I've ever been to, except for maybe a treatment meeting, getting 30, 60, and 90 days. And when they asked me my sobriety, like their mouths hit the floor. Like it was just, yeah, it is when you say go to a different meeting. I also think if you show up at the same meeting over and over again, you will get comfortable by getting familiar with, oh, this meeting does this and this is what comes next. You won't be as scared. You know what I mean? Because I was scared shitless and I'm like you, Paul. I just cried. I just cried the whole meeting, hoping that I wasn't going to get in trouble. And then when they asked, they made me read how it works every damn day. Yeah. And I couldn't say anonymity at first.
Who can?
I couldn't.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
know.
And Pat O.D. said, Julie, her name is Anna
Oh,
and her last name is Nimity. So
that's
then
how
I'd
I
go,
got it.
yeah. And then I'd go, anonymity. I would have to do it in two parts. And I don't know when, but after you're reading it for 30 days, seriously, every day for 30, then you're like, anonymity. And I can say it now. But yeah. And then I was like, what does it fucking mean now that I can say it? What
Yeah.
the
Or
fuck? Yeah.
autonomy. Who knows what autonomy means early in sobriety? Probably not a lot of
Right.
people.
Can I tell you?
That's
I,
like the
I
big book.
Yeah.
So what
that's it.
this that and the
That's where I was
stories,
going.
like
I
what? What you
didn't
talking
know
about?
so many words in the big book. I really didn't. It took me a minute. Yeah. And I think that's why I really love Drop the Rock, The Ripple, Living Sober. They're so much easier to read
Yeah, the
Yeah.
author of Living Sober was such a good writer.
Yes.
I think his name was Barry G.
Well,
I haven't
the
read it, so I'm
ripple,
gonna have to read it.
Yeah, Barry G.
the
And
ripple,
he was a gay man as well. But Barry G. was openly gay.
and Fred
Right on.
H wrote the ripple. And I texted our Fred H, and I'm like, "Did you write the ripple?" But yeah,
Yeah,
no
Paul
listeners
O.
that
wrote
get.
the Paul O. wrote the acceptance. The acceptance is the answer, and people, you're not the Paul O. I'm like, no.
I
I
didn't know
can't take
that.
credit.
Yeah, Doctor Alcoholic Addict in the previous version was
I
Doctor
knew
Paul
that, but I
O.
didn't know it was Paul O.
Yeah.
That's fucking cool. You should just lie. I know it's a program of honesty,
That goes
but if you
against.
like, you'd be like, don't you know I wrote acceptance? Yeah. And I'm just saying it would be
Or
cool.
just play it
Yeah.
off. I really can't say. I can't say.
That would be even better. And look, I can't say, but I'll meet you at the secret meeting.
Right.
That would be great. I want to hear more of your story. I love it. I love
Oh,
everything so much.
oh, let's see. Another important lesson I learned, a lot of stuff I learned early on. So I remembered reading the sentence basically says, at some point, there will be a time where nothing will come between you and the next drink other than your relationship with your higher power. And I'd gotten sober in October, and then that following New Year's, I still didn't really feel like part of the group. I felt like I was invisible. Nobody wanted to have sex with me. And imagine that. They're like, yeah, stay away from me, newcomer. But anyway, it was a lot of times there was tag meetings and no one ever called on me because I felt like nobody knew I existed or knew my name. And but they always had an option at the end of the meeting for burning desires. And I was sitting there really hurting. I was like, and it was New Year's Eve. And I was like, okay, when they get to burning desires, I'm gonna chime in because I'm hurting. This
You're burning.
God bless the secretary. They skipped over it. And then they took a group conscience
No.
because usually those meetings went until everyone who talked wanted to talk. There was no time limit in those meetings. And but they all took group conscience. Everybody who wants to get on with the party, yeah, let's get on with the party. So I slipped out of there, put on my cloak of invisibility. I slipped out of that room, went back to my apartment, and I had been given a bottle of wine earlier in the day as a gift for a performance. And there it was. I was going to give it to somebody else, but there it was in my refrigerator. And I was going to show those people I wasn't an alcoholic by getting good and drunk. And I had a thought, I think it was my thought, which was before you do that, why don't you get out a piece of paper and a pen and just start writing? And as I was writing, literally in my mind, the voice of God took over my thoughts and my pen and started giving me advice. And the advice was, listen, if you want to be part of that group, you just need to go and be part of that group. And if you need a hug, you need to go and you find the friendliest looking lesbian and you ask her if she will give you a hug. And so I did. And I think I probably poured the wine down the sink and didn't drink any of it. And I went back to the party, which was now going on. And I went up to Luann and I said, Luann, would you give me a hug? And she, of course I'll give you a hug. And several people saw it and they're like, I'll give you a hug. So we were all hugging. And then I became like the hugging guy all of a sudden.
I love it. I
And
love
then there was
it.
one more really good. So that for me, that lesson was like, okay, sometimes God is the only defense I may have. The other one was I was still pretty new in that meeting. Then they met in a basement and they had this giant percolator. And so somebody had to clean it and they had a very inadequate sink to clean it in. So nobody ever wanted to do it. So at the end of every meeting, all right, who will clean the percolator? Everyone sit there and wait. And finally I thought, fuck it. Oh, I said, fuck. I
I'm so proud of you.
thank you. Did it sound convincing?
Yes,
It did actually. I'm like super proud of you because you're so fucking polite. No, yeah.
So I said, I'll do it. And it was a bitch every time cleaning that thing. But they figured it out. Everyone in that meeting knew that I would count to 10 and then say I would do it. And then finally I just said, so then I became coffee pot guy. And
Isn't that at MCC?
no, that was other stuff there. But this was in Reno at the Serenity in the Cellar, big ass gay meeting they had there. And so a coffee pot guy. And then they would say, well, sorry, what's your name, coffee pot guy? And so then that's service helped me get known there in the meeting and helped me to be part of the meeting. So yeah, service is secret. It feels like a scam, like it's trying to get free labor out of us. It's a scam, but it's magic. Service is magic.
Yeah. When I first started out, I was chosen, not that I was looking for anything. You're going to be the secretary. And I did the same thing. I did ashtray at the time. They still had ashtrays outside, but not inside, but clean the ashtrays, do the coffee. Then I was secretary. And then I was roped into being a part of the District 11 board meetings, or they're not called board meetings, I forget, but the big meetings that govern the districts. And when I was new at it, and I was so nervous, so afraid, but after doing it over and over, it got me comfortable not only with being the secretary in front of the group, but with the program, because I didn't in the beginning. I just read these pages. I didn't take it to heart or believe what I was reading.
Right.
But after repetitive and doing it, it sunk in. So I think that part of service. And what else was
Well,
I
and I
going to
think
do?
you get it by osmosis sometimes like that. Like
Could be.
you might not, I'm telling you, I just went to get off parole. Okay, for real. And I think going every day, because I was so scared of fucking up, for real, that like slowly it like goes in. Like even if you're fighting it, if you go enough, like I think you'll hear stories that you'll be like, wow, if this person can do it, maybe I can.
Yeah.
And yeah.
They have limits, like you're supposed to do it for so many days and then give it to someone. They had me doing it forever. It seemed like so.
Paul know about that. At our old meeting, our guy Pat O.D. did the Friday meetings for 10 years. Okay, I did it for I don't know how long. And then Misty, me and Paul's friend Misty, she did it for another, what,
Many
7,
years.
8 years. And then somebody said she had to give it up. And I was like, really? She's been the most consistent person we've ever had and brings all these new chairs that we've never heard. And I was like, really? The Friday meeting? Because the Friday meeting has always been special. I don't know why, but it really has. And I was like, what do you mean 6 months is the limit? And now we can't get somebody to stay 6 months. No,
Yeah,
but
it's different.
From one extreme to the other.
it is.
Yeah, I remember being part of the business meetings when that issue was coming up. I was secretary of, I think it was a Thursday noon meeting, and it was a 12 and 12. I was at least 3 years. I was secretary of that meeting. So I've been through the 12 and 12 several times, which is, I really appreciate it, because whenever I read it now, which I actually now go secret meeting, and I go to that, and a totally different format. Like they start reading, and then when somebody feels like stopping to comment, and they just comment, and it's really fun. So yeah, service
I'm
is a
doing
winner.
the 12 traditions right now with my sponsor. And I wouldn't call him a step sponsor, but when I mentioned I wanted to do the traditions, he was like, I love the traditions. And he pulls out this book that somebody gave him from Christmas in 1978.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I will tell you, I've been learning stuff. I didn't know the third tradition. The only requirement is the requirement to stop drinking. I didn't know at first they asked all the meetings to send in what their criteria was. And they were like, no jail people, no this, no that. And I was like, I wouldn't have been able to go. Like, who thought up that rule? But I've been really learning a lot. And you would think being in the program so long, but it's been really enlightening. Really enlightening.
Yeah. Yeah. The
Yeah.
fact that they have landed on those particular traditions as far
Yeah.
as God of your own understanding. And yeah. And then especially the opening to the third tradition in the 12 and 12 is just, we don't care who you are or what you've done. We're not afraid of you. You come to the meetings. It's definitely the last house on the block. And I've been to some meetings with some pretty unnerving folks at times, but
I went to Scully's one time just to say I went, Paul.
uh-huh.
Right? Here I am, and I'm new. And I think it was because of Todd.
Yeah.
Um, Todd, Mr. 50 Years Sober, Todd with 1D. But I went because he was talking about this meeting, and I like wanted to see all these badass dudes. And I went and I was like, oh my God, this meeting is not for me. It was hardcore, but yeah, I needed the easier, softer way. And they were
I,
smoking like a mofo.
yeah.
Hmm.
I
I
only
almost
have,
was blind.
I've only ever walked out of one meeting, and it was in Ballard, Washington, and it was just so rowdy. It was like there was and people just carrying on while things were carrying on, and I thought, oh yeah, this does not work for me. But other
So
than
can I
that, I'll sit it out and then decide if I want to come back. But
buy? And usually what will happen is if you're not hearing what you need, the least person that you expect it, right, will say something. I'll be like, damn. And I'll be like, out of them? But I will tell you the only meeting I've ever felt on, there's two. There was a fist fight once. And MCC in the upper thing, two lovers got in a spat. It was, oh my God.
Oh my
And
gosh.
Jen was there too. And the other one is I chaired a CMA meeting just about a year ago. And CMA wasn't around when I came into the program. I went there and I knew probably 17 out of the 19 people there. I was like, holy shit. But I was reading, and then while I was reading, they were like, woo, and I was like, what the hell? And then they're like, I'm a tweaker. And I was like, oh my God. Like I jumped 4 times and I couldn't leave because I was chairing the meeting. But yeah, it was like that. It was really rowdy and they thought they were wicked festive, and I was so scared. Like super scared.
It's
But
almost like
yeah.
going to different churches, like the hallelujah, praise the Lord, and the other ones
Yeah.
where you have to be so quiet and kneel and
Yeah, it
I can't
was.
remember what meeting it was, whether it was Reno or Portland, but I used to go to a meeting where every time they read How It Works and they would say, we are not saints, and somebody would say, what's the point? And we say, the point is that we're willing to grow. And I had not heard that done in a meeting for a long time. And the meeting I go to now, the only time I've ever heard it, that was the first time I ever read How It Works, and somebody in the crowd goes, what's the point? And without missing a beeline, the point is.
I've
But
heard it too, but not always. Yeah. But
yeah,
the first time it's whoa.
it was
It
fun.
is.
well, especially if you come from a meeting where there's so many, like the first meeting uh, from in East County, they're so concerned and they're very like by the book and you just follow this and follow that. Then when you go to another meeting where they're more like they say things like that and you're like taken aback almost. What's going on here? This is not right.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I'm remembering now it was the gay meeting in Reno is where they did that. And it was like Rocky Horror. They had all kinds of
Yeah.
responses for various
I
things.
love it's the
Three
CMA meeting.
three pertinent ideas. Spell it, sister, they would say.
That's my kind of meeting, I have to say.
I love it. I
The
love it.
meeting I went to very recently, where the person who shared after me was sharing a wonderful story that had just recently happened to her, and she was killing it. She was hilarious, just because she was being so honest about how she had done such a terrible job in this situation. And I was dying, and the people like that were close were dying. But then I always like to check out the room and see who's not appreciating it quite as much. And I'm like, oh yeah, no, they're ready for the next speaker. But I enjoy, and I would say that took me back to my second meeting I went to ever, which was the same group, but it was the mixed group, and the person who chaired, her name was Joy, and we became friends later on in our recoveries. And she was as funny as any stand-up comedian you've ever heard. She was, and her story was just crazy, but she was such an amazing storyteller. And I thought after that second meeting, I thought, okay, I want to be a part of this.
Yeah.
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 Love that.
I
I
do too.
All
love
right.
that.
Oh, so anyway, should we tell more story?
Yes.
Yes.
Story time.
So there I was in Reno, and then let's see what's worth knowing. I was 2 years sober, and I got in my first relationship sober. And at 6 weeks into that dating relationship, I thought this is not the relationship for me. 5 years later, I got out of that relationship. So it took a while. And I stayed sober.
Wow.
And for those years, going to meetings was my escape. So my partner at the time was very possessive and very controlling, and didn't trust me. And probably with some reason, I still wasn't completely trustworthy. Yes. Okay. So this brings up another story that I think is worth I tell whenever honesty comes up. So we had been together for probably 4 years at the time, and our agreement was that we were going to be monogamous. We'd both been tested for HIV. We're both negative, and so we're going to be a monogamous couple, and which at that point in my life was not my nature to be monogamous, but I was doing it. But I went on a trip, and I was feeling lonely and horny, and I hit the bathhouse, and I still was super safe, and just had a very chaste encounter with one person. But then I didn't say anything when I got back. And then I had a little relapse on casino gambling. And so I wasn't it wasn't getting me in trouble, but I was using it as a little escape whenever I could get away for a minute or two. Problem was I won a jackpot. That was a problem. So then I had $1,000 to try and explain where that came from. So I said, I got to tell him. So I had admitted I'd been lying, that I'd been out there gambling a little bit. And then he says, if you're lying to me about that, what else are you lying to me about?
Oh boy.
And I had this moment of truth. And I was like, I can either lie or tell the truth and then stop lying about stuff. So I did. I told the truth, and we worked through. We ended up breaking up a little while later after that. Anyway, but it was, and I said to myself, okay, no more lying. And I set out to basically become a person who just was unwilling to fabricate a bold-faced lie. And that was hard for a while, especially because I was still screwing up all the time, triple booking myself for something, and I'm instead of making up some lie about why I had to cancel, I would just say, I don't know how to manage my life. And I've booked
I
two
love
other
that.
things for that same time. So
I'm
that
gonna
was
try
a
that.
very valuable lesson. And I can't say that I don't spin things sometimes, but I really do my best to be honest about what's happening. Yeah. So that was a good turning point.
Ties into the honesty of this program. And that was a
Yeah.
big one for me too. When I was at the conservative meeting, I couldn't be my honest, open who I am. I didn't feel comfortable being myself. And so going to this meeting where I can be fully honest and open, that's another part of it. Know that I say I didn't lie, because I'm sure and when I was drinking, I had plenty of lies with people. No, I
You
didn't
know
have
what's
anything.
crazy about that? And maybe not in all areas of my life, right? But I figured if I went to this meeting and they knew I just got out of prison, right? They knew I just got out of prison for the escort service. They knew I was an IV drug user. So I'm telling you, I'm an ex-con, an ex-prostitute, and an ex-drug addict. If I can say that, what the fuck do you gotta hold back? I'm just serious. Like, I was like, if they know the worst things about me and they still like me, like, and they still want me to be sober and they still let me come to their group like every day. What do I have to, and I'm being like really honest with you. Like, it was the one place where I really was honest. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And I think that helped me a lot because I felt like I didn't have anything to hide from them.
Yeah.
It was good. Now, I'm not going to tell you that in the world outside of AA, I'm not coming up and saying, hey, I just came out of prison.
Right.
I just
Right.
want you to know that, yeah, your husband looks like a trick. And yes, I did stick a needle in these beautiful arms. It took me a long time actually to be comfortable, even to say some of those things.
Yeah.
And today, though on the podcast, it's made it easier. I it's not like my honor badge to go around and saying some of those things. I know it's part of who I was, but who you also are drinking and drugging is not necessarily who you are sober.
For
Right.
sure.
I've seen so many people be different, you know.
I'm
It's
curious. You talked about mostly we've been talking about alcohol addiction and how you got sober from that, but you also mentioned gambling, overeating, sex. How were those just all part of like your your AA program helping you through those, or did you have separate programs that you went to, or how did you address those addictions? I'm
Yeah,
just curious about that.
that's a great question. So in Reno, they definitely had GA, Gamblers Anonymous meetings. I went to
I bet.
exactly one of those. There was very little sobriety, very little recovery. And then I've been to a few OA meetings and I've appreciated them. But it didn't drag me, didn't say, yes, here's where you belong. And then I've also been to Sex and Love Addicts Anonymous meetings, mostly with a relatively recent sponsee, because he was really struggling with that stuff. And I thought, oh, yeah, this was, I belong here. I definitely own a seat. I own a seat in all of those fellowships. But I did find that I could just extrapolate the recovery I was finding in AA, and the quality of sobriety I've always found in AA is just so high and so
Same.
many different levels. There's always new folks, but the meeting I go to now, it's a real mix. We have a couple of people of 60, 90 days, but they're in it. And then we've got a guy just celebrated, what was it, 45 years? And there's a
Wow.
lot of old timers, active 40-year plus old timers here in town.
I love that.
Yeah.
So you
Can I
applied the principles from your AA meetings and the AA program kind of to your other addictions, and that worked.
They're so different. And the closest gambling is a little like drinking in that you can just not do it. There's no situation where you're going to have to gamble a little. And so it's easy as that black and white sobriety. And weirdly, how I broke it at one point was I entered a raffle at an AA conference, which if I'd gone to GA, I would know, no, that's like having whatever. It's a
Yeah.
gateway. And it was. And the bad part was I won this rainbow quilt. So I had this reminder that I had broken my gambling sobriety. And then I was 7 years sober and my mom had died. And that was really hard for me. And it was the darkest time of my life. And I acted out on just about and everything else. I just said, give me $20 worth of nickels. I'm just going to sit here and zone out because I was in such pain. And I had my little 7-year coin. I said, but I am not going to take a drink. And with those, I've had huge success. I have not gambled in many years. I can't even say it's not been an issue, but I also do have a solid line. Nope. Nope.
Right.
If and the eating thing has taken a lot longer, but I have had huge improvement there as well with just basic concepts of notice when you're full and try to recognize when I am eating to change my emotional state, which is what I always did. And that's
Stress eating. Yeah.
yeah, or
I
even
notice.
yeah,
Yeah.
celebratory eating as well. Anything to say
That
to
same.
yeah. So I've had good success and results that come with that, a reasonable, healthy weight. So yeah, the program is applicable in all those areas for me.
Very
It
cool.
is.
I like to
You
hear
know,
that.
in the book it says alcohol is but a symptom. It can be anything. I personally, when I got to AA, I didn't care how much I ate. I wasn't getting high and I was hungry and food was legal. And I agree with you. It was a reward. I'm staying sober, so my paycheck, I can go out to dinner. And then at times it was when I was getting a bonus at Sprint, right? It was, I'm not buying a bag of dope. I can buy a pair of shoes. You only got one bonus a month. So one pairs of shoes doesn't sound too bad. But after 3 years and you have 36 pairs of the same shoes, no. And then I think taken me a while to know that I can get addicted to almost anything,
Yeah.
if it feels good. And a friend of ours says I can be addicted to more.
Yeah.
And I think when I was off work, going and doing stuff in the fellowship, I can't do that as much when I'm working. I have to come up with that balance. And it's the same with the podcast. Peter and I have a little more regulations of when we can do it than when at first we're going balls out. I think that if you really think about, and I wish I would have known this sooner. I rationalized everything with, well, it's legal. That was the first thing. And then that I maintained success in other areas and it didn't impact that. So I think sometimes it can be sneaky. And it's just like when I got diagnosed with diabetes. First of all, I was like, oh, I take after my dad because my sponsor has diabetes. And I was like, it runs in the family. And I thought it was cool, I'm being honest, because I was just like him. But it was like being an addict, right? And you can't use. Now I
Right.
know I can't have sugar. Now I know I can't. And it's actually been a game changer for me in a good way because it drew it in the line. Like, you can't do this. And it's like with the alcohol and
Yeah.
like going to prison, you can't get illegal money. It's crazy that it has to come down to that. And so I do want the listeners to know it doesn't have to come down to that. But I think I justified it. As
Yeah.
long as I'm not sticking a needle in my arm or drinking or using, I'm so successful. It's okay. And it's not. There
Yeah.
has to be balance.
Yeah.
And I think now I don't want to be on medication for anxiety. So I have to come up with the balance myself. I'm saying to prevent that and stop those things. Because I never had anxiety the first 25 years in the program. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. One thing we hear often is that it takes what it takes. And
Yeah.
and I have, for me, the whack-a-moles of addiction are, there's just so many, and I am definitely powerless over, especially there's so many now. If you have a smartphone or the internet, it's
Yeah.
so compelling. And it is literally, my phone is cunning, baffling, and powerful. I'll like pick it up like,
Literally, I'm not addicted to the phone.
oh, good for you. And so
That's one.
I'll pick it up with the intention to check the temperature or the forecast for the rest of the day. And then next thing is an hour later.
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Oh,
Yeah.
how did this happen?" I'm like, okay, I know how it happened. So I did have
Yeah.
like about a month of smartphone sobriety. And now that I'm in the middle of a smartphone relapse. I
I love
really,
it.
comparing the two, it's no, I absolutely prefer smartphone sobriety. So I don't know how I'm going to manage that, but I'm going to keep praying about it and keep
But you're
meditating.
aware of it. I think
Yeah.
that's the cool thing about sobriety. And that now I didn't know what rumination was, right? But now that I do, I know when I'm doing it, right?
Yeah.
I didn't honestly, the fact that I was eating my meals every day, because when I was high, I'd go a long time without eating. 7 days with just a donut and a milk and stuff, and I wouldn't sleep. And ever since I've been sober, my sleep is really important to me. Like super important to me because I never wanted to be so tired that I wanted to get high,
Yeah.
right? So, like a schedule, routine, super important to me. But I think you can recognize these things now and do something about it. I like when I go out to dinner, if someone brings out their phone, I'll be like, put that shit away. Like, you're spending time with me, motherfucker. Get off your phone.
Yeah.
And I think it's almost a point, but it's easy. I could watch dance videos. Like, I just think when you're addictive, you like China. I love it when, honestly, when you decorate your table in the
Same
China.
here.
Okay, I love it. I think it's a great
Right
fucking
over
guilt.
there.
I appreciate it. Peter has more knickknacks than any person I've ever known
That's my
in my
addiction,
whole
I guess,
life.
now.
I sat in his office last night and I learned more shit from looking at the shelves and stuff than ever. But I think that I just think being aware of it does, you know what I'm saying? We don't have to be perfect, but just being aware of it. And I
Yeah.
think, yeah, and it's crazy because I can see patterns now that I didn't used to see.
Mhm.
Makes sense.
Mhm.
That, yeah, and I'm a work in progress. I don't think I'll ever get it down perfectly
Yeah.
and whatnot, but I keep trying. Yeah.
Yeah.
Me too. I
So
was,
back to our
oh,
story real quick, because the
yeah.
important part is a
Yeah.
very important chapter that comes up, which is so at after my first relationship in sobriety, I did meet my AA husband, my boy meets boy on AA campus, and he was this very attractive. I called him my Marlboro man. He was as handsome as a Marlboro man, and he smoked Marlboros. And
He was a,
and we had always connected. We'd always really connected in meetings, etc. And then we connected romantically, and we got married. We had a fate. It was in a real wedding, but we got married, and we had 4.5 just really wonderful years together. And as it so happened, um, we moved. Where did we move to? We moved to from Reno to Arizona, and I he had stopped going to meetings. I was still going, and when we moved to Arizona, I started going, but of course they didn't do the meetings right. They didn't blah blah blah. Nobody knew how wonderful it was. Blah blah blah. And so I just stopped going too. And then I went on this amazing trip to New Zealand, and
oh,
it was
I'll
just the time of my life. And he was at home, supposedly going to work. And on the last couple of days in on my trip there, I just thought we were having fun with all these other people from Australia and New Zealand and all around the world, singing and laughing and having a great time. And they were drinking, and I just, the voice in my head just said, you know what? It probably wasn't the alcohol. You're probably all that questioning whether you're even an alcoholic. You're probably not. And if you drink with
Oh,
this
wow.
really hot Australian guy right now, you guys are going to go have amazing sex in the dorm room at this thing we're at. And and so I very consciously, I did through my checklist. Larry won't care. There's nobody in the meetings that will even notice I'm missing, and I'm probably not an alcoholic after all. So I didn't get drunk. We didn't have sex, but it started me on this journey to prove to myself I was an alcoholic. 13 years sober at this point, and so I set out to do that, and I failed miserably. And what I found out instead, which was, I see now so much more valuable, that I actually am and was just an alcoholic. that even though there were all of those other things going on, that actually alcohol at this point was going to eventually kill me. And before that, it was going to make my life so miserable because it just, we have this saying, they say, while you're in the meeting, your disease is out in the parking lot doing push-ups. Or you won't pick up where you left off. You'll pick up as if your disease had been progressing the whole time. And I found that to be largely true. In a couple of months, I did things I never had done before. And I got home from the trip and my partner said, "Oh, I started drinking again too." So we went into it together. And but what he didn't tell me was that he had started doing meth again as well.
Oh,
And so at some point before I found that out, we were arguing over something. And I said, I don't want to do this anymore. I'm going back to AA. And that was now like 21 years ago. And he and
to
I,
have thought. Wow.
yeah, I just remember we had this box of wine and we were about to lose our apartment with these two cats. And I just thought, I don't. So I went back to meetings. That was in Seattle. And I had what I always talk about is like my completed first step. Because in 91, the unmanageable part was obvious. It was so obvious. But the powerless over alcohol, 13 years of going, I don't know, am I? 13 years of that. And then eventually finding out, oh, yes, I am. And be grateful for that.
Yeah. I know when I had my slip, it was the same thinking. Oh, I proved that I'm able not to drink. So maybe I don't have a problem. And yeah, that's how it starts.
My favorite expression of that thought is this guy I used to go to a meeting there in Portland, and he would say every once in a while, this whole A&A thing was one big overreaction. That's what he would say. He's
Some
like,
overreaction.
yeah. Then when I came back, I was at a doctor's appointment and I said, I'd been in AA and then I decided to go back. And he basically just said, yeah, most people who go to AA are alcoholics. So I'm like, okay.
If you have to think that you have to go to AA, there's
Right?
probably a problem.
Yeah.
I have a question for you,
Okay.
for both of you, actually. Yeah, you both said you went back out. When you were rationalizing this, right? Were you scared? Did you not think if I do this, like I'm in fear?
Not
Or
at
did
all.
really?
I just,
The only reason I say that is I'm scared to this day. And it's a healthy fear. It's not like I go around, oh, but especially now with fentanyl, okay, I feel like there is no meth and whatnot. But I have just kept this fear that, and I think it's because I've seen people never come back. That if I go out, am I ever going to make it back? I don't know if my big head would have too much pride. I don't know. I'm just scared. Believe it or not, whenever, I guess I don't think about using now. I say this honestly, if you stick around long enough, I believe that it'll be removed from you if you're staying healthy and working the program. It took a while for me, a while. We're talking years and thousands of meetings, but I was always scared, like scared. I don't know. And I don't know how to explain it to you, but I was just scared to leave AA.
Yeah, I think I have a fear now of what would happen if I did, and the thoughts of where I was. I remember that clearly, and I don't ever want to go back there. But when I had my slip, there was no fear there. It was, I don't know, I confidence almost. There was a confidence to it. It's like,
yep.
I'm fine. I can do it. Crazy.
No, and it's good. It's good to let people know this, right? That maybe because I lost my freedom, right? I lost everything. I think that too was part of my fear. And I'm super grateful I was on parole for 3 years. Because, yeah, if I would have just got my freedom back and you can do whatever you want, don't know that that would have been a good thing.
Right.
Super grateful that I had to go to AA 2.5 years into parole. I didn't have to go to AA at first, or a meeting. That wasn't necessarily AA. There was
Paul,
some
you nodded
tweaker.
when I said confidence. There was a
Yeah.
You did. And
Well,
you
I
both
think,
look confident about your confidence. Yeah.
yeah. So it was, for me, it was actually a really classic relapse. When I was going regularly to meetings, which I did for most of those 13 years, I was reinforcing the belief that this is a great way of life in sobriety. And there were periods where I would go, I think I am an alcoholic. Or I would hear parts of my story, or definitely the way I felt about things. And as long as I kept going to meetings and getting those reminders and saw that I had a beautiful life in AA, why would I even think about drinking? But that move, that replacing my higher power with a lovely husband, but still higher power, schmire power, and then going to a new city where they don't do AA right, and thinking, no, why I'm here at these stupid meetings? They don't even care if I'm here. I'd rather be home with my husband. And so I think when I was out there, and this trip was the trip of a lifetime, it was basically the beginning of a kind of a lay teaching career that I still have. It was the first time I got to do that. I was riding high. I was so happy. It was so wonderful. So it was like, things are so great. If I drink with this guy, it's going to be even better.
What could
So it was,
possibly go wrong?
yeah. But now I just think my life now, and AA as such a big part of it, is on average just so amazing. And rarely is it like, whoa, what's up with this life? It's very rare. And even then, it's just, oh, I'm curious. Let's see. I stopped doing that, and started doing that and that. I wonder if that's why I feel so shitty today.
Yeah.
I,
I think,
now
like
that
Julie
I have
says,
happened. That I have happened. Meaning if I take too many of the things that work away, I'm not necessarily in jeopardy of using, but I'm not mentally as happy.
I think what you say, Julie, you say my foundation. And when I think of that, put that in context of relapsing and my sobriety, when I relapsed, I didn't have that foundation. It wasn't there. It wasn't complete.
Same.
Looking back
You know,
on it, that's a great visual. That
Yeah.
foundation was not there, and it is now.
My
I
metaphor that,
relapsed before I got to AA. So do know that even
yeah.
after going to prison, I got high one time and I went and told on myself. I was so scared I was gonna. No, I went straight to the parole officer's office and I was like, put me in jail. And she's, what? And I'm like, put me in jail. I got high. I don't want to be high. And she's, thanks for telling me. How about we go through treatment? You've been one of my most success. No, thank God. And then from there, they made me go to AA. But
Yeah.
I do think that foundation is everything. Yeah. Go ahead, Paul.
My metaphor that I really is that of, so I've never been a fisherman, especially a fisherman with a net. But what I know about fishermen who use nets is that they are always mending their nets. Like there's never, oh, I think we should, this March, let's mend the nets. No, every day they're mending the nets. And I think that's what going to meetings and being a part of the fellowship is like, mending my safety net. So
Yeah.
when stuff does happen, net is there.
Got a strong net.
But if I don't mend my net by not going to meetings, it's just easy to just fall through. Yeah, and I don't want to do that. Yeah, my memory is not what it was. I notice changes in my short-term memory, and I have a history of Alzheimer's in my dad's side of the family, so it's entirely possible that I will experience that. And drinking, I watched, my dad was not alcoholic, but he loved a beer. But as this Alzheimer's and dementia crept in, one beer sent him to oblivion, absolute oblivion. But he could never remember that. And he just knew he loved it, wanted to have a beer, and then he'd have one and couldn't convince his wife to just to not have beer in the house. I guess eventually she figured it out, but
I had a friend that had Alzheimer's as well. One of my really good friends in AA. She forgot she was an alcoholic and she drank. And I was like, what are you doing? You know? Yeah.
That
And
would be
and
scary for me.
can I tell you, it was scary. It was very scary. and they don't remember, it really was scary. Paul, you have the ability to tell things in an amazing way. I just want you to know, for real, like, you do it in meetings. I love it when you speak in meetings.
Aw.
No, there's some people, I feel like Davey is the same way for me.
Yeah.
I'll be like, but what you say always makes sense to me, and it always makes me think progressively. Yeah, like the hard things and the easy things. Like you can tell I remember the shit you say. And yeah, no, for sure. You have a bunch of hard things to do a bunch of easy things and then one hard thing instead of getting overwhelmed with the hard things.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you, brain wise, you have helped my brain a lot.
Aw.
Yeah.
Thank you.
No, I really mean that. I'm not just sucking up. I'm sober. Like, it's just like I tell people, we've been going to AA for a while, and it's like going in the bar, Norm, because we've been there a while, but I never go to AA to get popular or whatever. I go to AA because it is my foundation, and I'm scared not to go. Literally, I'm scared. I've heard the stories of I've had surgery and I just got done taking the pills and I relapsed. Oh, I everything got good. I got my man, my house, and everything. And Barry says this, and don't let the life that AA gave you take you away from AA. And it's such a real thing. And when things are going bad for me or I'm having opportunities, fucking, I go to more meetings. I read an AA book. I'll read Drop the Rock again, it's Julie. They wrote that book about me and my character defects. That's the one time my ego does come in. I'm just telling you. I think all those stories are about me sometimes.
I love what Dr. Bob says at the end of his story about meetings, and when asked why he still goes to meetings. And I'm right in line with his. He says, sense of duty. It's a pleasure is number two. And he says, because in so doing, I'm paying my debt to the man who took time to pass it on to me. And he says, because every time I do it, I take out a little more insurance for myself against a possible slip. And I might add to that, at least for the pleasure part. So I went to a meeting this afternoon. I was debating. I was like, oh, I don't like to go to 2 meetings a day because am I doing avoidance? I'm like, no, this is special. Still go to your meeting. And I look around the room and I make a point to learn everyone's name. I just decided I'm going to be good with names, and I came up with strategies. And I'm good with names. So I know everyone's name in that room. And I look at them and I go, I love Kelly and I love Doug and all these people. And I could tell you why I love them. And so for me, it's just this I don't know what the word is, a vehicle to just feel love. And who doesn't want to just feel love for other people?
Yeah.
And the
I play
famous,
devil's advocate.
no, not yet.
Do you
Not yet.
ever go to a
Not yet.
meeting and
Hold
there's okay?
Yeah. So here's the thing. So I have an answer, which is when someone is annoying me, I think, okay, I don't know how to learn. I don't know how to love this one yet. And so I ask God, I say, God, help me learn to love this one. And for my own sake, because who wants to see, oh, there they go again. It's like, let me find out what there is to love about this person. And so that's where all my energy goes. And definitely there are people there in our little fellowship that it took me a while, but they're all in the love category now. It starts with
I love
acceptance.
that.
I
Love
accept that this
that.
person is going to be just the way they are for now and all time. If they change, wow, what a happy surprise. And then acceptance, the next phase for me is to attempt to understand, to listen to what they're saying and try and understand what they're experiencing in their life, and then find something to like about them first. I don't have to find something to love about them first, but find something to like about them. And then keep my eye open for that thing I can find about them to love. And then if I can tell them, I don't have to say, I love you, and here's why. But like, for instance, there's a gal coming to our meetings now, and she has this amazing, rich voice, probably from a lifetime of smoking, but it's just beautiful, rich, resonant voice. And so I ask her, "Hey, do you sing?" And she's the first person in her entire life that ever asked her if she sang, because low voices are premium.
Yeah.
So just finding those, and I adore her. I just adore her. So that's my other secret. Come to meetings just to find people to love.
I love it.
I need to use that because I want to be like you. I'm just saying. I so I've gotten to where in this I love everyone's recovery and I want them to be sober. It doesn't even matter if you piss me off. I still want you to be sober and I pray for you to be sober and I don't like that is so true for me. I don't wish anything bad on you. I want you to be there. And I actually get sad even if the acorn pisses me off if she and that's not a real person. If she pisses me off, I don't want her to disappear. You know what I'm saying from the meeting at all.
Right.
And I am trying to do things differently. And the best thing I can tell you is I'm trying to give different people grace. And what I mean by is if you're not my favorite person and I'm respecting thing, I try to go out of my way to maybe include you in something because I know it's important to you and if you annoy me. Because then I'm again putting off this good juju and it's not all about me. If I take the time to maybe invite this person or do something. And I will tell you, it has worked on a couple of relationships recently.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
was my mom as an adult doled out very little advice to me as an adult. But that strategy, I was having trouble with some coworkers, and she said, and it didn't make any sense to me, but I tried it and it worked. She said, if you want to get to like somebody, do something nice for them. And I was like, wait a minute,
Yeah.
don't isn't that them getting to like me? Nope, nope. If you do something nice for them, you will start to like them. And it's because they're worthy of this gift somehow. And yeah, it's a pretty good strategy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've heard
I'm
so many
working
good
on it.
things from this conversation, from burgundy socks to how to like somebody that annoys you. Bring it
I
on.
didn't explain it, Paul. I tried to tell him the fucking sock thing last night. I didn't do it. I don't know. I gave it 6% of what you gave it.
You didn't live it. I lived it and I have relived it for 35
But I
years.
do live it. I'm going to tell you, I do live
Yeah.
it though in a different way. And I like carry you with me in my soul. There's some things I heard tonight that I just need to be a better person. I think I'm dead serious. You're a great soul. I hope people can just listen to this. And
Oh,
Come
it's
to
definitely going to
Springfield and
inspire.
try and find that secret meeting.
Yeah. Yeah.
yes,
Treasure
yes.
hunt.
You know
Yeah.
what? It might be funny, Paul, but when your podcast goes live, first of all, I'll mail you some cards so you can share them with people so they can listen.
Yeah.
Um, Paul has a podcast shirt, Peter. So him and Joe, they were the only ones I was willing to mail them to. Everybody else in the meeting,
I wish
I
we could
was
mail
like,
it to everybody, but
no, this was
someday.
funny. So I thought I was talking. I don't know if it was Joe. Maybe it was Joe. And I said, do you want me to mail you a shirt? And Paul said, yes. And then some other people did. And I was like, only mailing it to the guys that can't be here, which was Paul and Joe. Right.
Ooh, whew.
And I didn't mean to
Lucky.
put it out to I was Zoom hosting and I'm going back and forth and yeah. And I was like, oh no. And then I was like, only the guys that are out of town, which was Joe and
Whew.
Paul. So it was good. Yeah. And they both done the show now. So they earned their shirts.
More than a shirt, for sure.
Yeah. I'll mail you the cards though. I'm going tomorrow to mail Tiffany her shirt, and I'll mail you some cards.
Speaking of people I just adore, Tiffany.
Oh, you and me both.
I've never
You
met
and
her in person, but I just adore
She
her.
was a delight to have on the show. I
she
really
was.
enjoyed having her. I'm
She,
editing that episode now, and so I'm reliving it, and I just
yeah,
love it. Yeah.
she reminds me very much of my friend here, Josh. Just so earnest and getting it and wanting to get it and wanting to share it. And yeah,
You
the
know who
energy
she's
from those
like?
people just is amazing.
Jen L. was like that in the beginning too.
Oh
She
yeah.
got it, and she got us. I'm telling you, like a slow learner. I just needed more help. But yeah, I see it in Tiffany too. And like the very first week, I was like, "Hey, girl," in the chat, and like you, Paul, I sent her a card because she doesn't live here in town, and she was like, "That card arrived at the perfect time," and I was struggling. And every time the first thing I do almost is send her a heart because I understand and I understand. Yeah. And it was like that with me and M and Andrea too. I hope comes back and visits us for a long time. Yeah. So you've given fucking bucket loads, but do you have any, do you have any things you want to just say to our listeners as a one off before we wrap up?
I was thinking of one of these sort of latest little strategies we read from Daily Reflections at the meeting, and it was about getting better, just becoming a better person, a better version of yourself. And so one of these couple ideas I've been employing lately, which have really helped, and especially trying to either let go of an old behavior that is obviously not working or acquire a new one that seems to work when I can do it. And so one is to notice the resistance. So there's always resistance to whatever the new thing is or the thing I'm trying to let go of. So to notice that resistance or also to notice the pull. And when I do, what I try and do is employ this little phrase that someone gave me recently, which is that God exists in the pause between impulse and action. So if, like, for instance, one of the things I do impulsively is, even though I don't really engage with Facebook much, is like, I will just open Facebook and see what's the red saying and what's my friend doing. And it's never satisfying and it's almost always sucks me in. So what I do in best moments is like, wait, and if I need to, I'll say, hey, God, help me not go on Facebook right now because we know it's not what I need. And then same with the newer behaviors. So one is like to vocalize every day, and I don't want to do it. I never want to do it, but the result when I do it is really good. And so noticing that resistance. So the idea comes to me, I'm like, oh, there's that resistance. And then for a while, I was just able to do it. Just a little push from God.
That.
I gave you that idea. You asked me to give you that idea, and I gave it to you. Now, do it or don't, but yeah. So anyway, notice, and then
That's the
notice a shred of willingness. So sometimes I was just like, I don't want to brush my teeth, but I am willing to brush my teeth. So I will go brush my teeth. So yeah, leaning into the willingness and noticing the resistance.
I love
That's my
Leaning
latest thing I've
into
been
the
working.
willingness and noticing the resistance.
and taking
Yeah.
the
That's
pause. I've been learning and trying to work that into myself as well. Breath.
same.
Don't just jump. Take a pause. Jump a lot.
The pause thing actually works for me. The one I will tell you. Yeah, instead of cussing you out, if I think about it for a minute, I'll come up with a better way. Sometimes it's just not doing nothing, not to react. Sometimes is good enough. No,
Yeah.
yeah.
Right there in the book from how many years ago? That's what they say. Pause when agitated or doubtful.
Yeah.
We're so smart.
Heavy pen.
We are so
Yeah,
Thank you
I
so
love it.
much. It has been a pleasure speaking to you. Really, it's
Thank
been a
you,
joy and a
Peter. Thanks,
pleasure.
Julie. Thanks for inviting me. It was my pleasure too.
It
I'm
wasn't
glad I put
it.
on makeup though. I put on makeup.
I'm glad people can't fucking see us because I've been on the phone since I don't know what time this morning, but I will tell you, Paul,
Did
it
you
was
not
worth
notice how amazing my lighting is?
Yes.
Oh, Peter's too. Peter's too. Do you see how he's like glowing and looking tan?
Yeah.
And then I noticed you have a crisp shirt on. And here's Julie. I'm so glad our listeners can't see me tonight, but
Yeah. I cannot
Paul,
button this
I
shirt
knew
all the
you
way.
were going to
though.
be amazing. I want you to know that I already knew you were going to be amazing. I already knew it. I told Peter. I'm just saying, Peter's lucky. Like, he's so lucky because, like, I just know that this person is going to be amazing when they come on, and then they're even more amazing.
Aw.
Like, that's how I felt last night with Melissa. That's how I feel tonight. And I just can't wait for other people to know as well. Does that make sense? I
Sure.
just, yeah, no, I mean it with all my heart. This is Julie, one tired ass lady, but super grateful this evening. Peter, thanks for everything this week.
Oh, you are more than welcome.
My hero.
And thanks for all of you who are listening, and thanks to our wonderful guest Paul for being here. We love it and we appreciate it more than we can express. I can't even talk. I'm getting all fumbly. No, really. Thank
I
you
wanna
so
cry.
much. And
Yes,
thank
thank
you
you.
everyone. Thanks for listening.
And that's a wrap on today's episode. Thanks to each and every one of you for lending us your ears and hearts. Your engagement is what fuels our passion and keeps this podcast thriving.
We cherish the moments we share here and hope they resonate with you, whether you're on a daily commute, at the gym, or just taking a moment for yourself.
Make sure to head over to our website at realrecoverypodcast.com. While you're there, subscribe to our newsletter for the latest insights and uplifting stories from our community delivered straight to your inbox.
Click that subscribe button on your favorite podcast player too, so you can keep up with every new episode. It's your support that keeps our conversation alive and meaningful.
And if our stories have touched you, consider using the donate button on our site. Your contributions, no matter the size, are deeply appreciated. They help us continue our mission of sharing hope and healing.
Join us beyond the podcast and follow our journey on social media. Find us on Instagram, Facebook, and on X, formerly known as Twitter. All the links are on our site, so you can stay connected and be a part of the Real Recovery community every day.
Your likes, shares, and comments not only spread the message of recovery, but also remind us that we're all in this together.
So, until we meet again, remember that recovery is a journey, not a destination, and we'll be here to accompany you every step of the way to recovery, real recovery.
Thanks for listening.